Happy Fertility Day, everyone. So I'm coming to you to answer some questions that I actually get asked a lot often on my first video that I made about unblocking my fallopian tubes naturally. So I'm basically just going to go over some frequently asked questions and then we'll go from there. So I get a lot of women that ask me when they should take the supplements and the herbs. So I'm also going to touch on that. But what I want to do is just show you some quick pictures of that I got off of Google, and it's just really quick images, basically showing like adhesions and what scar tissue looks like. Now, I noticed that when I first started taking the enzyme Serpeptus, I noticed that's when I started feeling a lot of activities in my lower abdominal area, close to where the uterus is, and the uterus and the ovaries are. Sorry, I'm a little tired. So I also noticed within a couple of weeks, maybe two, there was like this big glob that came out, and I was like mortified. But I was actually happy because once I looked at the pictures of the adhesions and the scar tissue, it looked very similar to this image that I had obtained from Google. So I figured that, wow, this is a really good thing. So when I was taking their Serpeptus, I actually started taking about one a day, and then I upped my dose from 1 to 7 gradually within the 7 months that I was taking it. So I didn't just start out doing 7, I didn't start out doing 5 or 3. I just took my time and gradually worked my way up. So I noticed some of you ladies are receiving like upset stomach, or your body is not able to handle it. I took the highest dose that they had at the time. I'm not sure if they have anything higher, but if you're running into an issue where you're vomiting and your stomach is just not doing well, I say lower the dose, the doses that you're taking. I was taking 120,000. So I think there's like different doses are like 90,000 or 56 or something like that. So definitely lower it if you're running into that issue. The Chinese teas, there were actually a study done in China where women had took both of these teas and they ended up opening up their fallopian tubes within 10 days. So if you guys want to research it, feel free. I could put the link down below in the description box. I just have to search for it. So that's how I found out about the teas, because I was doing a lot of research. Now, as far as Serpeptus goes, I was not taking Serpeptus when I was on my period. When I started my period, I would stop everything. So I took the teas before ovulation. I stopped the teas after ovulation. I stopped Serpeptus after ovulation, and Don Q, I stopped that after ovulation also. So I stopped taking Don Q because Don Q, the teas, they also can cause uterus contractions. So if you are actively trying to get pregnant and you are drinking the teas after ovulation, and you're drinking the tincture, the Don Q after ovulation, you can risk actually having a miscarriage. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do it, you're doing it correctly. So I recommend not taking them after ovulation, okay? So I get a lot of questions on that one, so that has been answered. Just make sure that you're not taking it after ovulation, okay? So I was also moved on to doing the castor oil packs. Another thing that I stopped once my period came, as they call it, aka Aunt Flo. I also stopped it after ovulation, of course. During ovulation, because you don't want it to also cause uterine contractions or the heat from the heating pad to cause you to have a miscarriage. So a lot of people prefer the hot water bottle because it's supposed to be the safest, and what you just do is place the hot boiling water into the bottle, and you place it on your abdomen, as in this picture that I got off of Google right here. And then what you do, you want to make sure that you get your castor oil first and apply that and massage it onto your belly. And then you use the wool flannel, so you can soak the wool flannel also into the castor oil, and then put it on your belly. So some people do it, they massage their belly when they have the castor oil, then they put the flannel on, or they put the castor oil, the flannel into the castor oil, and then they put it on their belly and massage it. So there's many different ways that you can do it. I know that it is recommended that if you're also going to do the castor oil, that you have someone who is licensed, a Mayan massage therapist, who can actually do the massage for you to remove the scar tissue and the adhesions. Me personally, I did not use the water bottle. I actually used the heating pad. No, bad. People usually don't use the heating pad because of the electricity, but for me, I preferred to keep it on there at least 45 minutes to an hour. With the heating pad, in my opinion, it would only stay hot but so long. So the heating pad was my best option, and that's what I went with. Now, let's talk about what did I eat after after this big process. So once my tubes were open, I kind of just stopped taking everything for maybe about a year. Then I jumped back on the bandwagon with the Don Q. Everything else I stopped taking, the Serpeptus, I stopped taking the teas. I really didn't do the castor oil packs as often anymore, but what I did do is I always felt in my heart that, especially because I went for my HSG and my tubes were open, I felt like I wanted to become pregnant. I knew I would want to be pregnant eventually. So I started eating a lot of superfoods. I ended up buying the yellow Mecca powder because I heard it was good for fertility in men and women. So I purchased some online off of Amazon, and I would put it in my oatmeal, I would put it in my smoothies, and I was doing this for years. It just became part of my life and my routine. I also started drinking chia seeds and water, and if you know anything about chia seeds, they are so good with loads and loads of omegas. So I started omega-3, so I started drinking the chia seeds and water, and I did notice that once I started drinking the chia seed and water, or I would put the chia seeds in my oatmeal or my smoothies, I would get a huge glob of egg white CM. And egg white CM is basically the fertile cervical mucus that you need for the sperm to be able to survive in, which helps it reach the egg a lot easier, and it keeps it protected. So I would take that a lot. So if you ladies, or if anyone out there is having any problems with their cervical mucus, trust me, chia seeds and water will work for you. Also, my mom was telling me about wheatgrass juice, and I was like, So I started doing wheatgrass juice, and as you can see, it has loads of benefits and antioxidants in there that can really help us, ladies and men. So I put that on my regular routine. I also ended up purchasing a wheatgrass juicer. So when I was home, I just, started taking that. Take a couple of shots, and I would be good to go. And I also started with the evening primrose oil. Now this is supposed to help you if you have problems with egg white CM as well, which we were just talking about, which is so important if you're trying to get pregnant. I do know people have gotten pregnant without having that slippery egg white cervical mucus. But a lot of people say that, and doctors say, it's really best if you do have that mucus because it will protect the sperm and help it to reach the egg. So, as far as the evening primrose oil, I took that all the time, at least maybe once or twice a day, because one, it helped me with my egg white quality, and two, it made my skin so lovely. I mean, like, my skin was gorgeous, so I just love taking it, just for that benefit also. So now, just to wrap up, here is basically a rundown of, I mean, that's pretty much everything I did when I actually got pregnant. I fell pregnant in February. I was not actively trying to conceive. It just miraculously happened. But by the grace of God, my body was already being prepared by the supplements and the herbs and enzymes and everything that I was eating too. So, I do think it's important to make sure that you have a healthy diet and that you prepare your body for when you're trying to conceive, because the Mecca powder is actually really good for egg quality as well. The Don Q, that's also really good for increasing egg health and uterine health. So, and that actually provides oxygen to the eggs. So it's really good that when you're trying to clear your fallopian tubes, if you just want to focus on that, then that's fine. Just focus on that aspect. But there are some ladies out there who they're actively trying to conceive while clearing up their fallopian tubes. And if that's you, if you're one of those women, then it's really important to make sure that you're putting the right food and nourishment in your body to make sure that you sustain a healthy pregnancy. It's also important, one more time, to make sure that if you're going to take these supplements, you take them right and the way they're supposed to be taken. So as I stated before, I stopped all the products once my period came on. I stopped taking everything before ovulation. Now, if you're not sure when you ovulate, there are, some people where they have different cycles and they're not really sure. I do recommend that you get some little ovulation strips. You can find those on Amazon for super cheap. I think I purchased like some off of Amazon. I think they're called Wadafos for like $20, and I got like maybe 100 ovulation strips and maybe like 50 pregnancy test strips. So it's a really good value for your money. So I recommend that you do that. But you can also tell if you're ovulating too by checking your cervical mucus. Some women do, they'll use a thermometer to do like basal thermometer body temping. They'll use their temperatures and have charts to see when they're ovulating. It just seemed too complicated for me, so I just stuck with the ovulation, the ovulation strips, and just checking out by my cervical mucus. I also paid attention to my body. When I felt like my sexual urges went up, that's how I was like, oh, I must be ovulating. And, I was always accurate. It was always around the same time. So if I noticed that I would see like some egg white CM, I would check I checked and I look at the calendar. I'm like, oh, okay, it's right about that time. So everything kind of fell in place for me. So if you're one of those ladies where you have a harder time knowing your cycle, I do recommend that you get some of those kits, or that you just strictly focus on clearing your fallopian tubes before you try to conceive. We want to make sure that we have healthy babies and that no one suffers from a miscarriage, because I'm sure that is a hard thing to go through. So I am officially in my 3rd trimester, and my little pumpkin should be here any month now. But I just wanted to come share some tips with you guys and answer any questions that you may have. I'm sorry if I don't get to a lot of you. I try to respond to anyone that comments. I try to respond as much as possible. I also notice that people ask me the same questions over and over and over again. And this is why I'm making this video, because I'm hoping that this will touch on all of those questions. So if you have any questions regarding basically what I explained in this video, I'm probably going to refer you back to the video. Just because it's overwhelming to respond to everyone and basically tell them the same thing. Yeah. And I get a lot of questions from women asking me, like oh, I live in Australia, where can I purchase this from? I live in Africa, where can I purchase from? I live in Nigeria, where can I purchase, this products from? And I'm in India or Pakistan, where can I purchase the products from? And it's like all of the information is in my first video, how to unblock your fallopian tubes naturally. All the info is in there in the description box below. Now, because you may be in another country, you may not have access to Amazon to where they can ship it to you. The only thing I could recommend is if you have a family member or someone that you know in the United States of America, see if they can buy it for you and ship it to the country where you're located. That is the advice that I give most women that do not live in the U.S. And I still get the same question from sometimes the people ask me over and over. And honestly, that's all I really have for you. Like, you really have to do your own research. I feel like I give, or I have given so much information. So at this point, you really, really have to do your due diligence. If you see the products, you have to research that on your own. I can't do everything for you guys. This is honestly, I don't really mean to sound mean about it, but I don't really know how else to help you. You're going to really have to search and be creative and try to figure out how you can get those products there, because I really don't know. So all I can do is give you the information that I have, and you have to take that information and run with it. When I first came on YouTube, there were no videos about how to unblock your fallopian tubes naturally. There was barely any information on the internet at all. I had to really, really search for it. And right now, by the grace of God, so there are a lot of videos now on how to unblock your fallopian tubes naturally. There are a lot of women have seen my video and made videos about the products, Serpeptis and the Chinese teas and castor oil packs. Like, when I first started, there was nothing. Now there's so many videos, and that's a good thing. So you have to really do your due diligence and research for yourself and be your own advocate also. But ladies, sorry, this video is going way over the time that I was hoping, but I'm going to go. But yeah, I really hope that this has helped someone, and this really answers your questions. Also, as far as my diet went, I tried to eat as healthy as possible: sweet potatoes, leafy vegetables, kale, spinach, green beans, Brussels sprouts. I mean, I really tried to ramp up being healthy, and maybe that's why I got pregnant. I don't know. But I wish you ladies the best of luck, and there will be a part 2, because I'm pretty sure I probably left some stuff out. But there's another part that I want to explain. I just wanted to focus on the questions that I get asked a lot. And this is pretty much, talking about my fertility journey. And next part, I want to talk about more mind, body, and soul. I think it's important for us to have, the herbs, the enzymes, but it's also important to have a strong, healthy mindset, because this can be depressing. When you're going through this and the doctors are telling you there's no other option, and you're seeing everyone being pregnant around you, and you're like, this is not fair. When is it my turn? So this is part 1, and look out for part 2. Love you ladies, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.